Hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. Nutty caramel tart is on the menu today. There's two parts to it, so we're going to jump right into it. All right, now the first part is the crust. So I want to tell you what you need for the crust. I'm going to tell you what you need for the filling. All right, so you're going to need flour, cold butter, cold cream cheese, and cold water. Key to it right there, everything must be cold, must in capital letters. All right, the filling: vanilla extract, brown sugar, corn syrup, mixed nuts, and butter. All right, I left this part of the video in. You know what? Just want to show you. Just relax while you're cooking. So see, I'm a little sip right there. So relax and get this dessert done. Now, the first thing I want to show you is the proper way to measure flour. All right. So you're gonna have your measuring cup, your measuring spoon, whatever it might be. You want to even it off on the top with the back part of a knife. All right. Baking is exact. Measurements must be exact, otherwise you risk messing up your recipe. All right, so once you get that flour done correctly, move on to the next step. So from an overhead view, you can see that I put the butter in with the flour after I measured it. So we're going to cut that butter into the flour. Now, if you don't have a pastry cutter like this one, use a fork. It works perfectly. Believe me, it works perfectly, so you don't exactly have to have that. All right, so we're going to cut in. I am going to put the measurements in the description box down below. So I'm going to put all of the ingredients over again. Although you saw them at the beginning of the video, I will do that just so you know exactly how much you need. All right. If you haven't hit like by now, please hit like, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you'll be one of the first ones to know when I put a new video up, and leave a comment. All right, so after you get that butter cut into that flour, it should look like little pebbles, a little peas like that. That means you got it right. You've done it right. Now we're going to start putting the water in. So you're going to start putting that cold water in a little bit at a time. We're going to get a nice dough right here, a nice buttery dough. All right, so take your time with this. Don't be in a hurry. So you're going to work that water into that flour and butter. And check it out. I'm going to keep spinning the bowl like I'm doing. I want to make sure I don't have any balls of raw flour left in there. So I want to make sure that everything is cohesive. It's wet, but it's mixed thoroughly. And so that is why I just don't pour all of the water in. But if you would like to, you can. All right, looks tedious. Not really. It's not a lot of flour that we're working with, so that's the one thing that does save us here, is that it's not a lot. And so eventually, I will go in with my hands. Well, we'll have to. We have no choice. All right, keep watching. Keep watching. Don't go anywhere yet. Keep watching. So we're going to keep doing that until you see what I'm doing now. Yes. We're going to try to get a ball of dough out. We're not going to try. We're going to get a ball of dough out of this. So keep working it, keep working it, keep working it till you get all of those dry ingredients. And you can see it's such a small amount of water. This is one easy darn recipe. All right. Oh, look at that. This dough forms the bottom of this tart, but the sugar and the nuts that go on the top of this dough This is ridiculous. It's an easy recipe, but it is so good. All right, so that's what we're trying to do. Right there. You see, I'm just working the dough, working the dough. So you want to make sure that dough is pliable. You can work with it. It's not too hard. You don't want it falling apart. Countertop is such a light color, but if you take a look right there, you can see that I put a light coating of flour on that countertop. You can use wax paper or cutting board, anything that will allow you to roll your dough out evenly. All right, so I'm going to put a little flour, but you notice what I'm doing? Not too much. All right, so rub a little bit of flour on your rolling pin as well. You want to make sure that doesn't stick to that dough. And you're going to start rolling out. There is no need to chill this dough. A lot of times with these types of doughs, when we use cold butter, cold water, what we'll do is we have to chill it in the fridge for a little while. This one, you do not have to do that. You're going to roll it right out just as soon as you make it. So I'm using a spring-form pan. I haven't tried to use another type of pan. So what we want to do is we want to measure right here. We want to make sure that we roll that dough out and that it is bigger than that. So it's wider than that spring-form pan, if you know what I mean. All right, so we want to cut around it, but we want to leave about a ½ inch around there, ½ inch. So you don't want to cut it exactly like the size of the pan. I'm off camera a little bit on this side, but it'll work. I'm going to lift the pan up and then you'll be able to see as soon as I move the pan out of the way. All right, so I said about a ½ inch, but it's probably about a quarter. But just so long as you leave some extra dough around there. So that's the important part of it. And it doesn't have to be exactly even either. Remember, it's homemade. So it doesn't have to look sloppy, but it doesn't have to be perfectly even either. So, all right, so that is a spring-form pan. That bottom, you can remove the sides. So it's not like a regular pie pan, but if you have a regular tart pan or, you know, even a regular pie pan, you can use that. It'll work. All right. So you just want to make sure your pan is put together and you're not able to move that bottom. That's what you want to be sure of. All right. So I pushed the pan down here, so I'm just going to show you. I pushed the pan down, and when I did that, I put an indentation in the dough, and that was something, you know, I didn't really intend on doing. So what I'm going to attempt to do right here, yep, I left it on camera for a reason, is I'm going to take this rolling pin, pick it up, and I put it on the pan, and that worked. Instead of trying to just take my hands and lift it. Sometimes if you use that rolling pin, you can move it. It's easier. And so once we get it in the pan, obviously you can see we can shape this dough back the way we need it. So we just need it to come up the sides a little bit. So you don't need a lot like a regular apple pie or pecan pie or something like that. You don't need that much of the dough coming up the side. So you can see I'm pushing it, but I'm going to press it down. I'm going to make sure it's even all the way around. So don't worry about the indentation in the dough. And the dough right there, once you press it back together, when it cooks, you'll never know that you had that line. If you make a mistake and do what I just did, but you won't. I know it. All right, so just take your time and work it around there. Just don't even be in a hurry. Yep, So if you want to make some pretty little indentions around that side, you can do that too. The sky's the limit when you're in the kitchen. Your kitchen, your rules. But if you can dream it or think it, you can do it. All right, so that's when it's done right there. Now it's going to go into the oven. All right, so we're going to put some aluminum foil down in there. Yep, put it down in there and shape it to the shape of the dough. All right, don't prick it. We're going to put it into the oven for 8 minutes with that aluminum foil. Then we're going to take the foil off and bake it an extra 5 minutes. Then we're going to take it out and wait for the filling that we're going to make right now. All right, so in a saucepan, a pan, a pot, whatever you might want to use, you want to combine the butter, the sugar, and the syrup. All right, so you got butter, brown sugar, and light corn syrup. If you want to use dark or light brown sugar, it makes no difference which one you use, so long as you use one of them. So you're going to bring this to a boil. You're going to bring it to a boil over medium heat. All right, so don't have this on high. And stir it, and you want to keep stirring it. You want to stir it until everything dissolves. So you're going to get a nice, smooth mixture here. If you got a rubber whisk or wire whisk, use that. That'll work too. The spatula's just fine. All right, look at that. It's already getting a nice caramel color, right? Yep. And so when you put that corn syrup in with the brown sugar, what it does is it prevents that sugar from seizing. So it prevents your mixture from having a granulated sugar texture later on, like tomorrow or something. You know what I'm saying? So you understand what I mean? Because sometimes when something cools off, it gets cold, and you have used sugar, well, it'll seize up. It'll have those little granules of sugar in there. So if you want to keep it smooth, then add some corn syrup to the sugar, and that will keep it from doing that. All right? All right, so keep stirring this like I said. Keep stirring until that sugar dissolves into the mixture. Now, a good way to tell is just to take some on that spatula and let it run off. And then you look at the spatula and you see if you have any granules left in there. And if you don't, then your mixture is ready. So take a look at that. I'm using a non-stick pan. If you are using a regular pan that is not non-stick, then you most definitely want to keep stirring. You do not want this mixture to stick. Because if it does, you have to start all over again with this filling. All right, so you're going to leave it on here long enough. Like I said, long enough not to have the granules of sugar in there. So when that sugar melts, that's when you will remove this from the heat. So however long that takes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it just depends. So it just depends on where your heat is. Medium, low, that will decide. So it's going to vary for everybody. I'm not going to give you a particular time and then you take it off whatever time I say and then that's it. All right, vanilla extract. So you can tell I'm putting that vanilla extract in. So what does that mean? We're at the end of the cooking process, because we don't want to put it in while we're cooking. So make sure when you put the vanilla extract in, that your heat is off. So even though mine's still boiling right here, don't. In go the nuts. And make sure every nut is coated. So don't want to leave any dry ones on the top. So most in a way reminds me of a soft peanut brittle. Once you cut it and you bite into it, that's what it's going to remind you of. So if you're a peanut brittle lover, absolutely. Alright, just want to make sure I have that coating on every single nut. Alright, you can see Our tart shell is ready. And so make sure you place this on a baking sheet. So cover a baking sheet with aluminum foil and put this on top of it. Alright, on top of it. So list the ingredients, the amount in the description box down below. So when you're first putting that in, you do want to start off with your oven at 450. After 450, we'll reduce it. After we bake that tart shell, before we put this in, we're going to reduce the oven to 400. And this is going to go in at the 400 temp. And it's going to bake anywhere 15 to 20 minutes. So we're going to watch it. It's probably going to be closer to the 15 though, but it depends on your oven. All right, and so that you can see it's bubbling. So fresh out of the oven, this is 15 minutes later. So you can see that it's bubbly. When it's bubbling like that, it's ready. All right, so you can see that some of it overflowed around the side. So now we're gonna cool this off. And so after it cools off, we're gonna give it 15, 20 minutes to cool off, perhaps even 30 minutes. So I took the sides off the springform pan. It's still on the bottom of it. But now I'm going to take the spatula, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work that spatula between that pan and that tart, and I'm going to take it off. And so that's what you do, because this is it's like candy. So you've got to you know that sugar is going to stick. So you've got to make sure you don't tear your tart up for presentation purposes. Don't break it up all crazy. All right. Push it on that side. Oh, you can see the caramel. Oh, yes. Got it. That piece of caramel that comes off, child, I ate that. I'm telling you, it was so damn good. I ate it. That is so good. Like, you would not believe it. But child, that did not go to waste. I ate it. Okay, it's off. Beautiful. All right. That's it. Tasting, I had to take the audio away. So I'm talking, but actually I just want to show you what it looks like after I cut it. And then I am biting into it. Believe me, this is good. Look. Biting on the side, but trust me, that crust, the nuts, the caramel, it is so good. I am telling you, it is delicious. All right, that's what it looks like close up on my cake plate. Y'all, go make this. It's easier than you think. So if you don't know how to make dough, you'll learn the easy way in this video. All right? It's so good. It's so good. Thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all next time. For more great recipes, tips, and ideas, check out some of my other videos.